Hi, I'm Wade, 26, the guy who used to think keeping quiet was the same thing as keeping peace. Until my mom gave away my work car to my influencer sister without telling me, and smiled like it was a joke. Let me back up. Last Saturday, I showed up at my grandparents' house in a taxi. Not because my car broke down. Not because I'd been drinking. But because the BMW my grandfather bought me for my 21st, the car I used to haul my hand-painted ornaments to markets, the car that was my business vehicle, was no longer mine. I was halfway up the porch juggling sample boxes for the holiday fair when Grandpa opened the door. "Buddy," he said, "why'd you come in a taxi? What happened to the BMW we gave you?" Before I could answer, Mom called out from the dining room, smiling like a toothpaste commercial. "That car belongs to his sister now." Silence. The kind that makes the clock in the foyer suddenly sound like a metronome. Grandpa didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me, then at her, like someone trying to figure out where the bad smell's coming from. "To who?" he asked. "To Bree," she said brightly. "You know how hard she works. Wade hardly drives. He just paints little balls." The insult landed so lightly she almost got away with it. Like she was talking about weather, or a sale at Target. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell Grandpa that the car was one of many things quietly siphoned from me in the name of family teamwork. But I didn't. Because I'm Wade. The quiet one. The fixer. The guy who drives across town at 10 p.m. with a cake and a Sharpie because someone forgot Aunt May's birthday. But Grandpa wasn't smiling. He rubbed his jaw the way he does when he's calculating something, a budget, a contractor quote, the square footage of a lie. "Come in, son," he said, placing a hand on my shoulder. And that was the moment everything started to shift. He didn't yell. Didn't argue. Just sat me down at the table and started asking questions in the same polite tone he uses when calling out shady mechanics. "When did the car start belonging to your sister?" Mom opened her mouth. "Dad, let it go. Let the boy speak." He looked at me. Like he was really looking for the first time in years. My mouth went dry. My hands started to shake. And I told him. Told him how the car slowly stopped being mine. How my business card got linked to a family marketing account. How I paid the mortgage, just once, and then again. And again. How my sister borrowed my car until it lived in her driveway and I was Ubering to craft fairs, hauling boxes and trunks, all while being told I was too quiet to go viral anyway. I told him how I'd been subsidizing everyone, rent, insurance, gas, marketing charges, because we're a family, and you can write it off. And I watched my grandfather's face change, line by line, until he didn't look old anymore. He looked dangerous. In a good way. "You've been sponsoring the whole house," he said slowly. "And they've been calling it love to make it go down smooth." He poured himself a coffee. And then he said, "Okay. Here's what we do." The plan wasn't cinematic. It wasn't revenge. It was paperwork. That night, I went home and changed every password. Every login they'd ever borrowed for marketing. Support. Or just until payday. Gone. I unlinked every payment method from the shared accounts. I closed the business debit card Mom had forgotten to step off. I ordered a new Square reader, one with direct deposit into a fresh account in my name only. Then I opened my spreadsheet. I titled it, "Everything I Paid For." And I started logging. Line by line. Mortgage transfers. Utility bills. Facebook ad boosts I never approved. Gas for a car I didn't drive. Refunds my sister issued without my permission because we need to be generous for audience trust. A campaign called Family Growth Initiative. Billed to my business. $249. 99. $119. 00. $87. 53. $63. 22. The total stared back at me like a slap. $8,742. 19. That number wasn't just debt. It was truth. It was every moment I swallowed a boundary and called it grace. The next day, I sent 2 messages. One in the family group chat, Hearth and Home. One in the new, holiday strategy, Chat Mom created with color-coded cells and a header that said, Family Booth Collaboration. Me. Hi all. Attached is a PDF record of all payments I've made to the household and business-related expenses taken from my accounts without approval. Total is $8,742. 19. I will no longer be covering shared expenses or contributing to family marketing efforts. I will not participate in a profit split. I need the BMW returned by Friday at 5 p.m., or I will report unauthorized use of a business asset. This is my boundary. Mom. Threats? To your own mother? Shameful. Bree. Over a car? Grow up. Dad. Let's all calm down. I didn't reply. I packed my ornaments and worked until 3 a.m., painting names in silver script while the space heater buzzed and the breakers threatened mutiny. Then I made 2 signs. One read, Custom Name Ornaments. Cash Card Venmo. New reader. The other, Family Discount Suspended. Taping that second one to the booth hurt more than I expected. Friday at 5:23 p.m., no car. 5:26, nothing. So I clicked Report Vehicle Misuse with my insurer. I emailed the PDF to the family and CC'd my aunt, who's a paralegal, and Grandpa. Subject line, Business Record for Tax Files. My phone lit up like Vegas. Mom. How dare you involve outsiders? Bree. You ruined my weekend. Me. Return the car or I proceed. At 7:11 p.m., headlights pulled into my shop lot. Bree stepped out, threw the keys like she was flicking lint, and didn't look me in the eye. The tank's low, she said. I needed it. There was a new scratch on the rear door. I took photos. I said nothing. She ordered an Uber and left without saying goodbye. The lot was quiet, except for the cheap vinyl banner I'd hung flapping against its grommets. I rested my forehead against the BMW's cool roof and just shook. Relief. Rage. Grief. They braided together in my chest like garland you can't untangle. And then, Buzz. Grandpa. Proud of you. Come by tomorrow. I slept 4 hours. Opened my booth at dawn. December markets are war zones with glitter. You're cold. Your feet ache. Your brain whispers that you priced everything wrong. But that morning I felt light. Like I'd put down a box I didn't even know I'd been carrying. Grandpa showed up at 9 sharp. Old wool coat, thermos in hand, and a plastic bag with 6 ornaments he didn't need. He sat up on the spare stool and sipped his coffee while narrating my lettering like a baseball announcer. Nice curve on that G. He didn't mention my mom. He didn't have to. By noon, I'd sold out of the dog bone ornaments. A woman asked for Milo with a heart. While I painted, my phone vibrated nonstop. Mom. You embarrassed us with that email. Mom. If the insurance goes up, you're paying. Mom. We're family. Family shares. I muted the thread. Lettered Milo slow and careful. At 2, Dad wandered over, hands jammed into his jacket like they weren't allowed out. Your mother's upset. He mumbled near my ear. I know about the money, I said. I won't discuss it without Grandpa. He nodded once. Left like a man who just walked into the wrong funeral. By evening, Mom had posted on Facebook. Children forget who fed them. They bite the hand that gave them everything. She tagged me. An aunt called to say, apologize. Another one texted, proud of you. Quietly. Always quietly. Sunday morning, Grandpa called a family coffee. Everyone came. Because when Grandpa says, come, you come. He had 2 folders. One was mine, the spreadsheet. The other was a slim stack with colored tabs. Mom opened her mouth first. Dad, Wade's blowing this up. Bree needed support. He's punishing her. Grandpa raised a hand. We'll start with numbers. He tapped the folder. Wade has transferred just under $9,000 to this household in the last year and paid about $2,000 in business charges taken without consent. He also lost access to a work vehicle I personally purchased for him. That is theft by use, even if unintentional. Mom. Dad. Don't use legal words. This is family. Grandpa. Family should be the last place you encounter theft. Silence. The fridge hummed. Someone cleared their throat. Then he turned to me. What do you want, Wade? I didn't give a speech. No theatrics, no guilt-laced monologue. Just 3 things. I want the charges stopped. I want repayment on a plan. And I want a boundary. My business is mine. Grandpa nodded like he'd been waiting for that answer all morning. Then he slid the second folder toward me. And I want you safe, he said. It was a legal reassignment document. Years ago, Grandpa had set aside a small family trust for needs. Turns out, watching his granddaughter joyride my work car and his daughter use my business like an ATM redefined need. I reassigned the funds, he said plainly. It's not a fortune, but it's enough for a proper lease and a second workbench. You've earned more than a spreadsheet. Mom's chair scraped hard across the floor. Her face went red, then pink, then pale. You're rewarding this tantrum? She snapped. He's punishing us. You're encouraging selfishness. Grandpa didn't flinch. His voice stayed even. I'm encouraging work. And boundaries. Dad cleared his throat, looking like he was trying to shrink into the wainscoting. Maybe Wade could still contribute a little once things stabilize? No, I said. Firm. Quiet. I won't fund the house anymore. If you need help, I'll bring groceries. But that's where it ends. Mom pointed at me, her hand trembling. You owe us. We raised you. You raised me to be useful, I said. I'm choosing to be respected. Bree looked up from her phone for the first time in the meeting. Her voice was small, uncertain. So, where does that leave me? It wasn't sarcastic. It wasn't manipulative. It was the sound of someone suddenly realizing the ladder they'd been climbing might have been leaning against the wrong house. I was counting on collabs, she said. I thought we were building something together. I kept my voice soft but steady. If your brand needs your brother's money to survive, it's not a brand. It's dependence. Her eyes watered. Then hardened. She hated crying in front of people. Especially Grandpa. She stood too quickly, brushing her hands off like she'd touched something dirty. Whatever, she said. I'll figure it out. I hope you do, I said. And I meant it. There wasn't a hug. No tearful group photo. Grandpa didn't force a resolution or hand out tissues like party favors. We just sat there, 6 people who'd built the house of cards and finally watched the wind come. I took the folder and went back to my workshop. That same night, I signed a lease on a corner unit. Bigger space. Real walls. A second table. I moved my racks over 3 nights with help from my neighbor, a night shift nurse who refuses cash but accepted a Best Neighbor 2025 ornament instead. I printed a sign that said, Wade Works, Custom Ornaments. Store hours, noon to 7, Tuesday through Saturday. Custom orders welcome. I posted one video. No face. Just my hands, dotting snow onto a tiny blue mailbox while Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas played softly in the background. It got 100 likes. One of them from Grandpa. He doesn't even have an account, so I know someone showed him how. He pressed the heart on purpose. Mom adjusted tactics. She asked if I'd loan Bree some blanks, so she could launch her own ornament line. I said no. She frowned like I'd broken a vase. But we're family, I said. I know. Then she asked if she could borrow the BMW. Just for a day. For Dad to check something under the hood. I said, the car stays in my lot. I use a club lock. Dramatic, she muttered. Okay, I said. And that was the whole conversation. The local paper ran a story on holiday makers. They photographed my hands, said the silver paint on my nails was atmospheric. The caption read, Small shop, steady hands. Grandpa clipped it out and stuck it on his fridge with a tomato magnet. Every time I visit, he points to it like it might grow bigger if we believe hard enough. Christmas Eve, I closed early. Dropped a box of seconds at the senior center, the smudged ones, the crooked hats, the dogs with lopsided ears. Ones I'd never sell. The manager cried. These are perfect to us, she whispered. Driving home, I passed my parents' house. Bree was in the window filming herself by the tree. Her ring light lit up the whole room like it was set for surgery. For a second I ached. Then I kept driving. I had cocoa to make. And a shop to open in the morning. January was slow. It always is. No music. No lights. No impulse buys from people feeling festive and generous. Just cold mornings, bare sidewalks, and the question every small business owner whispers to their rent, will we make it through the dip? But you know what? I was okay. Because for the first time, every dollar earned was mine. Every late night painting holly leaves wasn't to subsidize someone else's internet fame or cover a mortgage I didn't live under. It was mine. I paid my lease. I fixed the drafty back door. I bought a real spray booth, not a cardboard box with a fan taped to the back. I even hired a high school kid named Jess for a few afternoons a week. Jess is 17, fearless, and labels straighter than I do. She calls my display Dad Shelf Energy, which is apparently an insult and a compass. We laugh a lot. Mom still sends the occasional probe. Mom, family dinner next Sunday. Bring ornaments. Bree wants a snowy theme this year. I don't go. I reply with, me. Can't. Shop hours. Which is true. And also, boundary language. Sometimes she sends a thumbs down. Sometimes nothing. Dad came into the shop once in February. Bought 2. Fishermen since 1989. Ornaments in cash. He stood like he was on a boat he didn't trust. Said, your grandpa's proud. I said, good. Bree posted a rebrand video that same month. New focus, lifestyle tips, thrifting, morning routines. She didn't ask for blanks again. She came into the shop one time. Bought a camera ornament for a friend. Paid full price. We didn't hug. We didn't fight. We were just 2 adults at a counter. It felt like a start. And something else started happening too. Customers began telling me their own stories while I lettered names. A nurse who stopped paying her brother's parking tickets. A son who reclaimed a pickup being used as the family Uber. A grandmother who finally said no to being the holiday ATM. They left with ribbons and lighter shoulders. Like the ornament weighed something before it weighed nothing. One Tuesday, Grandpa sat in the back with his crossword. He didn't look up when he said, work is long but honest. That beats applause. I kept painting. And realized I was breathing easier than I had in years. Because boundaries look mean to people who benefit from you having none. They call your no a betrayal. They say you've forgotten where you came from. They make being used sound like being loved. I used to fall for that. I don't anymore. Saying no didn't shrink my life. It made room. I sleep now. On real sheets. I eat food off plates instead of standing over a trash can in the garage. I stop by the senior center once a month with a small box of not perfects, and they clap like I invented glass. Jess talks to me about math tests and playlists while she packs orders. I let her pick the Spotify queue. I'm learning to like sad indie girls who sing about ghosts and exams. Mom still tries. She mentions money obliquely, asks if I've looked into family branding again, or if I've thought about the group booth for next year. I smile and change the subject to her garden. She tells me the parsley died. I tell her that's okay, parsley is always dramatic. When she slides money into the sentence, I step over it like a crack in the sidewalk. My relationship with her is accurate now. Surface. Civil, just enough. Dad hovers between us like a moth trying to pick a lamp. He texts sometimes. Just thinking of you. Or, got the G right this time? I reply with pictures of ornaments that don't need fixing. And Bree? She's figuring herself out on camera. Good for her. She's also quieter now when we're in the same room. Not because she's sad. Just because she's finally realized I'm not her PR team in overalls. And Grandpa? He still shows up at the shop every Saturday with 2 thermoses and 6 unrelated facts. Last week, he told me narwhals only have 1 tooth. Then he asked if Jess knew that. She didn't. But now she does. That's the kind of family legacy I can get behind. One of small facts. Hot coffee. And chairs pulled up beside you, not thrown at your back. It still hits me sometimes, how close I came to disappearing inside my own life. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just slowly. The way a sweater unravels in a drawer you never open. One loop at a time. Can you cover this? Here. Just for the weekend. There. A car in someone else's driveway, a brand account in someone else's name. That's how it happens. You give a little, thinking you're being good. Then you give more, thinking you're being strong. Then you realize you've given everything, and they're still asking for the pen. I thought love meant always saying yes. Now I think love means saying yes when it's yours to give. And no when it's not. That, no, has changed everything. I don't just paint ornaments now. I do workshops. I've started offering DIY kits, with glass bulbs, tiny brushes, and a printed guide I wrote myself. Jess designed the cover. It says, Wade Works, create something that lasts. We pack each kit with crinkle paper and a handwritten thank you tag. Customers send photos of what they've made, lopsided trees, glittery disasters, shaky names they're too proud of to fix. They're beautiful. They remind me of that first folding table outside the grocery store, when I painted Coach Ben on a snowflake and hoped someone would smile. They remind me that careful things matter. Last week, a local teacher brought her whole class by the shop. 18 third graders, wide-eyed and wiggly, asking if snow comes in glitter and if Santa uses Venmo. I showed them how to hold the brush. How to breathe slow so your line doesn't shake. How to make a dot look like magic. Later, one kid whispered to Jess, "He's like Santa's cousin, but in real life." I laughed so hard I almost ruined an entire batch of bells. I told Grandpa that night, and he just nodded like he'd known it all along. "You make small things," he said. "But they hold a lot." Yeah, they do. Because I'm not just painting glass. I'm building something. A life that fits me. A business that pays me. A rhythm that doesn't drain me dry so someone else can shine. Mom still texts. She's moved on to. We should all reconnect. Messages with vague offers of dinner. Brie comments now and then with a heart or a cute on videos. She seems calmer. Maybe she's growing up. Maybe she's just tired. I don't expect apologies anymore. I'm not waiting for the day someone says, "You were right." Because I was never looking to be right. I was looking to be seen. And then respected. And finally, left in peace. I go to sleep now with the heat working and my inventory spreadsheet balanced. That used to be a dream. Now it's Tuesday. And that quiet? That quiet is mine. A month into the quiet season, something unexpected happened. I got an email from a local artisan co-op. They'd seen my workshop post, the hands-only one with the blue mailbox, and wanted to feature Wade Works in their spring catalog. I thought it was spam at first. Almost deleted it. But then I saw the signature. Emily Tran, Director of Community Artisan Features. Real name. Real organization. Real invitation. They wanted photos of my process, a short write-up, and an option for limited pre-orders of a Spring Hope collection. It felt like being asked to dance after standing against the wall for 3 years. I said yes. I made mock-ups. Jess helped me brainstorm names. Bluebird beginning. First thaw. Daffodil porch light. Rain boots by the door. We stayed after hours eating gas station nachos and sketching out baby chicks with oversized feet and tulips that look like coffee cups. We laughed. A lot. When we packed up, Jess said, "You're doing it, you know. You're really doing it." And I was. It felt nothing like the life I had a year ago. I wasn't living off the fumes of someone else's urgency. I wasn't the background character in someone else's video. This was mine. All mine. Meanwhile, the family group chat had gone silent for a bit. No more strategy documents. No more unsolicited spreadsheets from Mom with column headers like Q2 influence ROI and Wade's projected yield. I assumed the silence was strategic. Maybe even punitive. But it wasn't. It was real. Bree went dark on socials for a bit. Then came back soft. Less product pushes, more quiet photos. Her morning tea. A walk in the park. A book face down on a blanket. No hashtags. No links. Just life. I didn't comment. I didn't like. I just watched. Not like a spy. Like a brother who'd finally stopped holding his breath. One day she came by the shop again. Alone. She bought a tiny ornament shaped like a camera. Paid full price. Again. Then she lingered. I was thinking about starting over, she said, not looking up. No collabs. No brand. Just me. Trying stuff. I nodded. That sounds good. She paused at the door, keys in hand. Do you hate me? No, I said honestly. I just stopped letting you use me. She looked like she wanted to say more. Then didn't. Thanks for the ornament, she said instead. And left. After that, she posted a short video. Just her voice over a clip of her organizing thrift store finds into color palettes. It had no music, no pitch. Just this caption. Starting over isn't shameful. Staying stuck is. I didn't repost it. I didn't message her. But I smiled. That's the thing about boundaries. Once you hold them long enough, other people either learn to respect them, or they leave. But some figure out how to build their own. And that's a start. Spring came early that year, not just in the air, but in my ribs. It started with small things. More sunlight through the workshop windows. Orders from out of state. A feature on a gift blog that called my ornaments miniature warmth you can hold. Jess printed that quote and taped it above the register with glitter tape. Then came the teacher again, the one with the class of third graders. She brought back a smaller group this time, a handful of kids who'd saved up allowance money to buy real WadeWorks kits. One kid, no taller than my table, held up crumpled bills and asked, "Will this get me a birdhouse or at least a penguin?" I gave him both. Later, after they left, Jess said, "You know, we should have a WadeWorks day. Like a real thing. With hot cocoa and kits and maybe Grandpa doing live commentary on your brushstrokes." I laughed. You think people would come? Jess didn't even blink. You're basically Santa with better handwriting. So we planned it. One Saturday in April. WadeWorks Day. No RSVP. No frills. Just good paint, open tables, and snacks from the deli next door. Grandpa made flyers with a pencil and a ruler. Jess turned them into digital invites. The night before, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was anxious. Because I was full. The kind of full you feel when your life finally fits. Morning came, and they arrived. Customers, neighbors, a few Instagram lurkers who'd followed me since the quiet paint videos. One couple brought their baby and asked for an ornament that said first steps even though it was April and not remotely holiday adjacent. Grandpa sat in his chair, sipping thermos coffee and saying things like, "Good line on that P," and "That's a brave snowman hat." Someone brought hot cider. Someone else brought their dog in a sweater. And Bree showed up. Not in glitter. Just jeans. A jacket. Hair tied back. No ring light. She waited until the crowd thinned and then walked up with a blank bulb in her palm. "I want to make one," she said. I handed her a brush. She sat, concentrated hard, tongue poking out the side of her mouth like she was 10 again trying to beat me at operation. Her letters wobbled. Her snowflake looked like a starfish that regretted its choices. It was perfect. When she finished, she held it up, beaming. "Look," she said. "I didn't even smudge it." "You did great," I said. "Want to hang it?" She hung it on the tiny display tree we keep in the corner year-round. The label read, "Guest Creators." Later, she helped Jess pack kits for the kids. Didn't film a thing. Just did it. At the end of the day, she hugged Grandpa. Then turned to me. "I'm sorry," she said. Not dramatic. Just simple. Real. I nodded. She left with silver paint on her sleeve and a smile that didn't need followers. That night, Grandpa stayed late. We sat on stools, drinking warm cider and watching the paint trays settle. "You did it," he said. "What's that?" I asked. "You built something they couldn't take." And he was right. Because they tried. And I let them. But now it was mine. All of it. It's been a year now. 12 full months since I stepped out of a taxi onto Grandpa's porch and heard my mother say the words, "That car belongs to his sister now." Like it was a punchline. 12 months since I realized that love without respect is just obligation wearing perfume. And I've changed. Not all at once. But piece by piece. I still paint. Still keep my nails short to avoid lacquer buildup. Still label every box like Jess will grade it. But my world is bigger now. Not louder, just wider. More space. More clarity. The workshop has a second bench now. Jess uses it 3 days a week. She's saving up for college and knows more about marketing than anyone in my family ever did, and not once has she asked me to link my bank account. We have a joke now. Whenever someone orders something complicated, a 6-window Victorian house with the family cat in the yard and the right color shingles, Jess raises an eyebrow and says, "Boundary test or artistic challenge?" "Both," I always answer. "Charge accordingly." I see Grandpa every week. We've made it tradition. Thursday nights are ours, leftovers, crossword puzzles, and whatever terrible baking show he's discovered. He still keeps the holiday article pinned to his fridge. Still points to it like it might turn into a billboard. "Small shop," he says. "Steady hands." And Mom? Well, she's a permanent fixture on the horizon now. Not gone. Just not central. She still sends texts sometimes. Family dinner, cousin's birthday, group photo opportunity for the holiday card. I respond if it makes sense. If it doesn't, I don't. Sometimes she tries to start conversations that tiptoe toward guilt. Like, "Your sister says you're still mad about the car. Aren't we past that?" I say, "I'm not mad. I just don't loan tools to people who keep them." Then I change the subject to her hydrangeas. That's how I know I've healed. I don't crave a different version of her anymore. I'm okay with the one I've got, even if she never sees me as anything but her most useful son. Dad swings by sometimes. Quietly. Always in his windbreaker. Sometimes he buys things. Sometimes he just stands by the door and says things like, "Your mother's difficult. But I'm proud of you." I nod. Offer him a coffee. Don't push. It's enough. And Bree? Bree's been different. She's not a saint. Not a villain. She's 23 now and, for the first time, seems to understand that being the face of the family doesn't come with an expense account. She's working part-time at a photo lab. Started selling her thrift finds online, not as a brand, but just as stuff she thinks people might enjoy. We don't text much, but when she does, it's short and real. "This hat reminds me of that dumb one Grandpa wore in Tahoe. A lady bought a camera ornament and cried. What do I do? Is it weird I miss painting even though I sucked at it?" It's not weird. She's figuring herself out. Without a debit card linked to my account. And I'm proud of her, not for the rebrand, but for finally living in her own name. The BMW is still mine. Still drives great. I use it for markets and bulk supply runs. I keep it clean. The trunk still smells faintly of cinnamon and old cardboard. Sometimes I find bits of glitter in the seat from the old days. They don't make me sad anymore. They just remind me that even broken seasons have sparkle. And me? I'm good. Better than good, actually. My calendar is full but not bloated. My phone buzzes with orders, not emergencies. I wake up excited about the day, not already exhausted by what I'll be asked to give. And more than anything, I trust myself. That was the hardest part. Not trusting others again. Trusting me, that I'll hold the line, that I'll say no when I mean no, that I won't hand over my life wrapped in tissue paper just to keep the room from going tense. People used to think I was patient. What I was afraid. Afraid of conflict. Afraid of disappointing people. Afraid of being unloved if I wasn't useful. But love isn't usefulness. Love is presence. Respect. Chairs pulled up at your table with no strings. And if someone calls my boundaries selfish, that's fine. Let them. Because I know what it costs to say yes to everything. And I like what my no has bought me better. Quiet. Steady hands. A small life that fits me like my favorite sweater, frayed, warm, and exactly mine.